There's nothing left, now close my eyes for one last time and say goodbye. Lying naked while the snow falls all around me, drifting closer to the edge, but she won't have me. Wake up and sweat, full of regret, try to forget these memories lurking in me, lost in a dream. Unchosen paths, a broken past, forspoken wrath, the pain won't cease, I'll find no peace, no sweet release. Fragile creatures, we are taught to fear the reaper, ever running, we are dead before we meet her. His voice is telling me let it go. I try and try, but I can't say no. This endless nightmare has just begun. My heart is dragging me down into oblivion. The endless lies I've cast aside, locked them in ice. Steel is my soul, my blood grown cold. I've gained control. Fearless creatures, we all learn to fight the reaper. Can't defeat her, so instead I'll have to be her. These voices screaming to let go. This time I'm screaming Yeah, my fear is gone. Open my eyes now. Here I come for the last time. Say goodbye for the last time. Say goodbye for the last time. These voices scream to let go. This time I'm screaming back, no, no, no. Don't say no. My mind's made up. Yeah, my fear is gone. Open my eyes now. Here I come. Oblivion. A drifting tender comrade, heroes ride. Her gallant severed away with the tide. The storm head gathers, comrade, heroes ride. Illusions scattered away with the tide. Why do weathered warriors wander their way where the wanting wonders wait? Hark the herald's anchors away. Here the happens mine escape. Freedom forgone, sinking abyss, comets crumble, Phoebus fades under cosmic clamor decay. Hides a path untaken. Ancient echoes come right, heroes ride. In deafening silence, away with tide. A wave of hazard come right, heroes ride. All in and windward away with the tide. Stellar stories, starward bestrewn, slipping sidewise, see their snakes. Twixt the leaves you'll find not a miss. Missing thoughts and crossing fates. Freedom surging, shifting ahead. Comets dancing in her way. To the cosmic clarions that court along the path now taken. Try to the dead tread on the road that is borrowed design. Through the sun of their suns do they seek tomorrow? Tonight, tonight, witness them as the end shall begin. What was fine will be lies, floating back, further back, feather back to burn, to primal. Come ride, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, to my final escape. Come ride, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, to my final escape.
Child, bastard, and beast, all lost them first to the feast. Conclave if you're able, a spot at this table, mild and meek down on your seek, it's time that we feed. Your heart is racing, blood is running cold. Your fractured will is whispering. Far away, hear Goliath say goodnight. With each part does your sanity die, sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light leaves your eyes, or scream all you like, your lightning can't hear you. Scream now, scream, your lightning can't hear you. Scream now, scream now, scream, scream till suicide. Don't choke on your pride. Scream, scream now, scream, yeah, I'm gonna watch you bleed. Dance and flee. How does it feel? You're bound as blade. Those scars will not heal, no. Lost in suffering, drowning in your tears. Won't someone somewhere tell me? Go from here, liar. Say goodnight. With each bite does your sanity die, sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light leaves your eyes, or scream all you like, your lightning can't hear you. Scream now, scream, your walls can't hear you. Dressed in rage inside my cage, almighty put him out soon. Still bound to the flame that I bear, buried alive in the coffin of the hope I used to be. I'll scream all I like, 'cause we're all men here. Forever falling into my mind, deeper, the shadow of hope I left far behind. Just a stranger, we all strange inside. You can run, but there's nowhere to hide. So scream all you like, no one can hear us. Follow me, come follow me, till my deep would have soon. Still bound to the flame that I bear. No release, fuck this empty waking wonderland. Just believe if you like, 'cause we're all mad here. Scream all you like, 'cause we're all mad here.
The sigh of the shifting sea, the kiss of the salt sweet breeze, the white of her silken dress stained in red, her memory fading fast, her mother sits, eyes downcast, a torn uniform in hand, farewells unsaid. That once a certainty, lost in grief, a daughter's desperate cries, unheard pleas, forsaken, beaten, tried, on her knees. A prayer passes from her lips into her soul, the goddess whispers. A heartbeat without harmony is moonlight without dark. The heart seek of equilibrium with balance. Will your Shintamani, 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 Shintamani. Legacy of the land, the continent in flames, the shores of her homeland stained in red. A memory fading fast, the people's hope eyes downcast, a shattered faith renewed in Goddess grace. We pray. Shintamani, 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 Shintamani. The lake once a certainty, lost in grief, the people's desperate cries, unanswered pleas, forsaken, beaten, tried, on their knees. A prayer passes from their lips to their souls. The goddess whispers, a heartbeat without harmony is moonlight without dark. The heart seeking victory beyond, with balance will your love, all still is golden path. So still is broken melody, and perish over thee, one last step only, unbending life will burn asleep.
Shrieks knife through the deep, natureless creatures perverted and evil. From foulness rise, a vermin tide, teeth bared, clawing the air. Sing like to sinew, the rats do not fear you in slaughter's king. The piper weeps, just like mark on your back. Here in the valley, your death casts no shadow. Sin's lake comes from the gate. Lay bare, drink clean, red deep in the bones that feed the menagerie. Burns hot, burns brief,
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to LoreLines episode 132. You might notice we're back on our Sunday time slot at 2 p.m. Eastern. So thank you for those of you who are joining us. We are joined today by Meowth, Yumi, and Aeneas. How are you? How's your week been? So I would hold off on answering that until. Yeah. I was about to say I haven't activated Discord sound yet,
Go
so
again.
there we go. Now,
Here we go again.
So we're already scuffed. That's
yes,
plus one.
on
for the
brand. We had one off week where everything went well, and we're back.
Well, and then it didn't because your sound was like low or something,
Yes.
but like at least it was audible to start.
So I literally have to reset the sound at the start of every stream, and so Discord, if I'm in a different channel than I was in the last time, I have to reset it. And so every single time I
Oh
reset
my
my microphone,
gosh.
and then I immediately have to reset Discord. So, but it's good. We're good now.
Can you hear us now, chat?
Am I muted? Can you hear me?
Yes, all good.
All good.
Okay.
All right.
That was a yes to my question.
No, you refuse. Okay, so Yumi, you were starting telling us how
No,
your week
go
was going.
ahead. Oh, how my week went?
Yeah.
Or, it's the normal week for me.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, I just go to work, I come home, play video games, go to bed.
You're living the life. I love it. Aeneas, you were talking about crocheting earlier.
Yeah, I learned how to crochet over the holidays, so this has been my new mental health thing, has been crocheting while I watch TV or read. But I'm back to working on cosplay stuff. I finally finished up with race prizing this week too, so if you're curious about how that turned out, I'll be posting about it in maybe a week or two. Depends on when the racers start receiving their awards.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what they get.
Yeah, I was real proud of it. I hope y'all all enjoy it.
Meowth, how have you been? Aside from slaving away. You're not allowed to talk about it.
Working. I mean, suffering in your stead, Cobb. You will get your time to suffer when you start putting all of those scripts together. Because I'm going to also be leaving a lot of notes of what we need here, and there to make specific references. So yeah, you're going to be suffering the same way I'm going to be suffering writing those things. And also, losing my mind as usual, but here we are.
So the normal.
And well, yeah, but what else? I finally managed to I find a party finder group for getting one mount for Endwalker Extreme Trials. Of course, it's no
Holy
merit
shit, you do
because you can
content?
sometimes.
Wow!
Uh,
Yumi!
Savage.
I take like maybe 2 years or 3 or a different expansion to even there get into an extreme or something like that. But eventually I do, and I got my Panther.
See, I already knew
character,
this. I just
so-
wanted to bring it up on stream. I've
So I
had this
got my-
conversation with me out
And
before.
now everyone knows.
Now everyone knows.
You've
So I got
outed
my
her.
Panther for Zodiac, so I'm happy.
Hey, congratulations.
Nice.
Nice.
So there's that. Only in I don't know, maybe half an hour of farming. Only 2 flutes. I got the second one at the 82 roll. 85 roll, which is my highest roll in maybe 5 months. So
Wow.
Well, I don't want to talk about mine.
So,
So yeah, that
flutes in Final Fantasy for me are sore topic.
yeah,
They
everything
don't
else Type
exist.
0.
Yeah, exactly.
What are flutes?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, so yeah, Deuce. Deuce's flutes. I decided that I was gonna main Deuce in Type 0 when I was streaming it, and she's by far and away considered to be one of the worst characters. But I loved her. She just sat
Sometimes
there.
gotta
you re-
commit.
It was like
you-
you know the meme of the girl playing the flute and she's crying. It's like the part while the party's dying.
Oh my god.
It was literally like that. Except everything was dying. It wasn't just the party.
Do you remember? You remember, Cobb, when you went the first run in Dawn Trail, and I was trying to clue you in about what Final Fantasy, the whole reference about the memory, the losing memory of the dead was.
Yeah, and
you were like,
annoyed the shit out of me. 'Cause I was like, I know this. I know this. What is this?
And I referenced Deuce so you could get the hint.
Yeah.
And you immediately did.
Yeah. Duding the toots of war.
It was actually fluting your way to war,
Yeah,
and that
okay.
immediately clicked.
Yeah, something like
What?
that.
Why did you delete the videos of that run?
Oh, I didn't delete
it
them.
was
They're
so-
still there. I took them down for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So we don't have a specific topic today, hence the title of today's episode being Random Bullshit Go. Is it living memory or living memory? That's an
Both.
amazing question. I want that. I want a place where the memes are just alive. That would be a horrible place.
No, no.
I would
We
exist there.
are living in it right now, Cobb. Don't.
You're not
Hey,
wrong.
we are.
Yeah. Please don't manifest that in my safe space on the internet. Why would you do this?
I'm a terrible person. You know this.
Because it's fun.
Mm.
But we do have an activity today. So I wanted to do this before the end of last year, and we ran out of time. But I still had it, and I was like, okay, so we don't have a topic for today, so we're gonna do this instead. We're gonna take all of the patches, including the expansions from 14. We're gonna rank them, and we're gonna say do a tier list for them. And let's see here.
We're gonna do
Memes
it
are the DNA
per
of the soul.
person or just kind of like a consensus.
A consensus. So it'll not only be us, but everyone in the chat. Everyone gets a vote, and we just kind of decide where all the patches are gonna go. So I made this little tier list here on Tier Maker. They're all in order, so we'll just go down the list and see what we think ends up where.
And as a heads up, the LoreLines cast knows this, but for our viewers, I played from the start of the game through patch 5.4 in what was functionally a single 4.5-day sitting.
Yep.
So if I stop the cast to say what was happening in this specific patch, it's not that I don't remember it, it's that all of it was one play session.
So I'll probably reference like one thing from each one in the story just so we can kind of get an idea of what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
Which is going to be most difficult for the ARR ones because they're, yeah.
Like, I promise I know what I'm talking about. The nature in which I play the game was recovering from my back giving out. So a lot of this is just, oh, this is from when I was in pain. And this is from what after rehab. Like, that's how my brain kind of separates it. That was my patch cycle.
That's
the before
valid.
and the after time.
You mean you weren't paying attention to exactly when the achievements were popping up?
I mean, I was doing that, but
When it's
I
like,
will-
oh, by the way, you've been in this
I
patch.
will warn you though. I take these things seriously, so expect me to elaborate why I think this and that.
Oh, I expect that.
when it comes to rating anything.
I expect that. That's why we have an hour and a half to do this. This is gonna be a
Okay.
while. So I guess we'll jump right in with ARR 2.0. Where do we think that ranks on this list? And I wanted an E rank for erased from canon, but I don't think any of the patches were that bad.
Right.
So a Realm Reborn,
A
the
Realm
tutorial
Reborn, I would-
150.
I put it at a C.
It may be a tutorial, but it's very needed. So I'm torn between. I would put it in B.
Okay,
I
so
would
I think
agree
for me,
with
just
B.
because
Yeah.
it's a
It's
kind
middle
of
of
like
the
a middle
road.
of the road.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with B.
I think
We're starting off very calm.
yes, I think it laid a lot of groundwork. I think while this story itself was pretty straightforward, it wasn't very in depth. We did get Gaius out of it, and La Habrea. We got his speech in the Praetorium, which was great.
I could hear the heart in the way that you said his name just now.
AC Gears and Arms says it's rated R for ARR. And then we go into
No,
a realm,
but
a realm awoken.
no, but in Realm Reborn,
Mhm.
there's more in there than what we're told to. What we're told, like if we go back into Realm Reborn with things that, especially Shadowbringers, but Dawntrail as well.
Mhm.
You go back there and start doing quests and all that, and everything changes. That's the magic. I don't know how they actually managed to do that, but the magic of the whole thing, especially after Shadowbringers, I recall that very, very clearly, because I replayed the whole MSQ each expansion to contrast.
Yeah.
And I recall after Shadowbringers going back to Realm Reborn and being like, my whole perception of everything changed. And maybe it's the source of my irritation with the science after all. Because after Shadowbringers, I go back to MSQ and I realize you guys know nothing. And you're making judgments.
AC says we got a lot of memes from ARR. Not wrong.
Yeah, important memes came from there. Groundbreaking memes.
Yes, this was not my
Such
intention.
devastation.
24K magic in the air. I did enjoy ARR. I don't know. I thought it was good when because I played it when it came out and I was like, this is good. This is great. I enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun.
It's I think it's also one of those things where a lot of people who complain about ARR are used to playing a lot of like JRPGs and have not played other MMOs.
Mhm.
If you go install any other MMO, especially like a Western one, their early game is so much worse.
Oh,
like
yes.
this is far and away a better early game than any other MMO is going to give you.
Yeah.
So
And I
just
Do you,
my
do you
two
guys
cents on the
remember?
skip ARR thing.
do you guys-
Don't skip it. that's
Do you
a
guys
wild thing.
do you guys remember very early classical World of Warcraft? Because I recall
yeah.
those quests
Yep.
Yeah.
that are
Yep.
basically exterminating boars,
Yeah.
and I'm
That's exactly what I was thinking
There
of when
are
I
no
was
more
making this
there are no more
thing.
boars in
Yep.
Duratar. Duratar. And I'll say, Ines, you're absolutely right. And I remember playing ARR, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's actually like cutscenes with my character in it. Like this is amazing. It's like playing a Final Fantasy game. What is this?"
Yeah.
So I just remember being shocked.
playing like Final Fantasy a game.
Yeah,
It's surprise!
it's
It's,
like-
Final Fantasy 14.
It's like an actual Final Fantasy game, kind of like how 11 gets later on.
Right, right.
Not in base 11. After that. All right, 2.1, A Realm Awoken. We got Darklight gear here. And the Isle of Val disappears.
Mm-hmm. Which is still the jury is still out on what exactly happened there. Which, by the way, just to make
Yeah.
a point.
Yeah.
But Realm Awoken, the thing is that it dragged a lot because a lot of it is basically the moving from the waking suns to rising stones. So we're basically the courier of everyone.
Yep.
So I would put it in C, but the real meat of A Realm Awoken is the end of it, right at the end when we get to meet Elizabeth and all the cryptic things he tells us. That, by the way, I have to go through that again because, considering all things considered, I have to review all the Asian dialogue. But there's so many interesting things there with Elizabeth, and so many revelations that still to this day I wouldn't dare to claim we know exactly what he was talking about. We'll get there surely, but right now it's like you're still out.
So the Aroma Woken patch was the patch that introduced King Moggle Mog as a primal.
True. Fuck. It's better now. The fight.
I had intentionally forgotten that.
And it was also the first patch that, and I remember this one because I didn't go in launch day, but I did go in a few months afterwards. Labyrinth of the Ancients was introduced this patch.
True.
Yep.
True.
Okay, so Moggle Mog had me like wanting to put it in D, but I'm kind of waffling between C and D, like right in the middle. And
I would put it.
I would say C. I would say C because of Elizabeth.
I would put it in B, but I can agree with a C.
Okay. And
just because the introduction of 24-mans and, it wasn't their fault that they had to introduce Muggle Mog.
Well, we're also just doing story stuff here, right? Too. Yeah. So I am purposefully trying to leave combat instances out of it. But I think I would agree with C, because if this is the first Alliance raid, it's where me and Meowth's enemy was introduced. So not Alliance content, but Alliance story.
Yeah.
So
I'll agree with C. Yeah.
I'm the cat man.
It was also where the Howling Eye, Naval, and the Bowl of Embers Extreme were introduced to. So we got our first look at Extreme
this is
trials.
A fun little jump through history. I like this.
Yeah. We still have glamour prisms at this point. I remember that.
Yeah, we also got the esthetician.
Yes.
My knowledge of the story is prior to, so I started proper in 14. It was patch period was 3.4. So all of this story between the patches is a bit of A Realm Reborn is curious to me. I mean, I know little bit things here and there, but I only start to properly understand the whole thing in Heavensward, to be honest.
Honestly, a lot of people started in 3.4. Like it's weird. Yes. That's like one of the entry points before Shadowbringers was 3.4.
I started a long time ago. All right, I started in 1.0. Didn't play for very long. I didn't stay long enough to get my chocobo, my lowered cost for all that. But I did join back up when 2.0 launched. 2.1 was when I really started getting into it. A Realm Awoken also. Damn it! I wish Meowth joined at this point, because this was when they introduced the lightning in Final Fantasy.
Oh, right.
13.
Oh, yes. The first time.
Yes. They had lightning and Snow's hairstyle were available, as well as some of their gear.
Yep.
And I did that quite a bit. I think I still have it on my retainers.
I mean, their gear, the Guardian Cord gear looks phenomenal. So
it is.
All right.
I very much like the gloves of the Dark Lake gear.
Yes, the Dark Lake gear was awesome. And we got and the Poor Keep came out. I know. I said we're focusing on story, but I'm just trying to remember everything.
Yeah, but like story isn't like the quality of the content. You can still talk about like the story of the dungeon, right? Which Amdapur is so fascinating and gave us a lot of insight to the calamities. So,
which that is a good segue into this next patch.
Yes,
actually.
Which into the Maelstrom.
Into the Maelstrom. Leviathan was introduced, as well as Thorn March Extreme. So King Moggle Mog Extreme.
And this is
the Final Fin Extreme.
Yeah, this is when we got our first introduction to soul fuckery
Yes.
True.
with the Echo.
We also got the second coil of Bahamut and Amdapur, Lost City of Amdapur. We actually got to go into the city this time.
This is also when
Break
the
Lock.
relics were in full gear. I believe this is when Atma
Yes.
came out.
Yes, yes. And we also got, in addition to the Hildebrand quest, big one, where we faced Gilgamesh. Battle on the Big Bridge came out.
I remember being absolutely shocked at Hildebrand. At this point, I was like, how did this get made?
This was also where the true end game was introduced, glamour prisms.
Yeah. When there were 5 for every class.
Yes.
Oh god, I actually lived that. I did live that.
It was awful.
They were very overpriced on the market board at that point.
They were great money, though. AC Gears and Arms asks, was Leviathan historically male or female as a summon? I'm trying to remember. I remember
Largely
Leviathan
male.
from 4, but I don't
Female in 15. That was the only thing I actually think of, actually.
Yeah.
But it's a sea serpent, so it doesn't matter really.
Yeah, it's
right.
It reproduces asexually. It's fine. It's both. It's both, and it's neither.
This one
That opens doors about primals reproducing that I don't think anyone
here
is
not go
capable
there.
of closing.
All right, so
Let's not do that today.
Noted. This is
Professor
going to be a topic for another episode, so we'll just go-
Great. Primal reproduction patterns. Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was also where the Scions went into the nature of the Echo.
Yes.
And the Beast tribes were introduced also too. So
Lot
I
of
would say
lore
with this
bombs.
patch 2.2, this is a B tier patch.
I
I would
don't
agree.
disagree.
Yeah.
So
Important,
a
but not like
chunky
stand
patch.
out.
right.
Yeah.
It's important because basically the Scions realized that when with the Echo awakened, as they say, the Sahagin, one, their whole notion of beast tribes, which is very
Racist.
Wow.
yes, it is. I mean,
I'm gonna still call them Beast tribes. I don't care. And that's how I was introduced to them. It's how I know them.
it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really matter because we don't say that as pejorative. But when it comes to the mentality of Eorzea and Charlene, it's basically beast tribes. It's like their conception of it is lesser, and then you go to Othard, Ilsebard, Tural, and they're just part of the society. So that whole perception is intrinsically Charlene and Eorzea.
Right.
It's wherever you are.
The-
Or if there is just are they called Beast Tribe? Are they called Society Quest? Just
The whole point of it is to point out how like contradictory that is to the values that these societies claim to uphold. I think it's a good narrative point, and I think it's like really important that they included the Allied Society quests specifically to go over that. I think it's one of the better things that the game has been doing consistently and like evolving over time to show, hey, the people in this world also no longer hold these outdated ideas as well.
Which were created as a way to basically denigrate and lessen their value in the eyes of citizenry.
Exactly.
So they can take
Yeah.
advantage of them. Or
No,
not
but
feel
you
bad
go
about
back in right now it's growing, they're growing out of it, but still Eorzea still has a way to go compared to other
it. Oh,
continents.
of
Yeah.
course, of course. Like compared to
But,
Garlemald, they have miles.
compared to
go.
Garlemald, really, honestly. But not just that, but also you go back and replay MSQ, and you realize where they started to where we're at now, and hell, do you remember when Noraxia the Sylph went into the Waking Sands and Papalimon basically telling her not to show herself outside because
Yeah.
Ul'dah, in Ul'dah they had the policy of immediately killing any beast kin.
Yep. Well, that was also
because of that.
That's also in the delivery quests,
Yes.
in the Moogle quests, where I believe it's one of the Ixali or Amalja, I can't remember which, needs to go into Ul'dah, and it's like you have to do like this whole stealth thing because otherwise they'll get killed.
so
yeah.
This is the place we're
And
fighting
there's
for.
and there's
It's a
that was
sundown
one
town.
point, and And the second point, of through the maelstrom is that basically there's the notion that with the echo, pretty much there's a revelation. It's like subtle, but it's there that anyone can become anyone really is an Asian because if we are weak into that and they can do the body surfing. You don't have. It's like the revelation that you don't need to be anything special or have any sort of evil pacts or things. That this is the conception that the science have about the Asians, because anyone actually is.
Right.
Everyone.
Right.
So I will say I really liked Through the Maelstrom because this is where I started to question, and I was like, maybe Gaius had a point. That
Maybe.
this isn't
Maybe.
this isn't
Yep.
like
It is.
the whole happy place where everything is great and we need to defend it. It's like, no, this is a flawed society that we are fighting for, and it's not perfect, but it's what we have right now. And I was like,
It was the next patch where I began questioning things,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that in a second.
oh yeah,
but
the next patch.
To be clear, colonization was not the solution.
No,
but
it was
you
not.
you were right to question things.
Yeah. And talking of the next patch, which I believe to this point had the best patch art so far, Defenders
of
Eorzea.
Eorzea.
Yep, where we got PvP.
So we got in this patch, I'll go over it. We got the Striking Tree Hard, where Ramu was introduced. We started the Scion, especially Alphino, started to create the Grand Company of Eorzea, the Crystal Braves. We also got the second part to the Crystal Tower series, the Circus Tower.
Yep.
We also got Second Coil Bahamut Savage, as well as Hullbreaker Isle, Tamtara Deepcroft, and the Stone Vigil. All hard modes. And the first frontline map.
All right.
And also, we also got hunts in this patch too.
Oh yeah.
All right. The evil is fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ramu was especially prominent in this patch because of a few lines of dialogue where he questioned who we were, but there was something more intrinsical to us.
Yep.
That we didn't know about just yet.
And then he gave us some insight into pre-sundering.
Yes. And it was those lines of dialogue that kind of really stuck out with me. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you implying? So that one was a little seed that stuck with me for a while, at least until we found out in Shadowbringers exactly what it was.
Is this where Snowcloak got introduced as well?
When they went over it?
Yeah, because I remember before Dreams of Ice, Shiva was introduced, but I don't think she was on screen. Like, they just showed, like, her feet.
I don't know in which patch exactly they started to have problems with the heretics. It was either this one or maybe through the Maelstrom. I don't know.
I think it was this
I don't know when exactly they.
I remember
I will
we
have,
had to go back
I will
to.
have to.
I remember we had to go back up to Kurthus, and this is when the whole thing with Harshfont happened, and we got into the whole supply of crystals getting, redirected.
Right.
And it at the time it just seemed like a big nothing, which of course all came to a head in the next patch.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Defenders of Eorzea, I would put that as again another B.
Okay.
It's a high B though.
Yeah, it is a high B.
Still just middle of the road, though, I think. Also, we've spent like 30 minutes and are not through ARR. We should probably speed up a little. Like, we can keep talking, but...
We're actually going at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, for us. Oh, for sure. But I was just like, oh, wow, we can yap for hours.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to Ramu though, go check the lyrics of Thunder Rolls.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, that is another episode.
Yeah, getting distracted, but Ramu is a very interesting.
Yeah, no. Lyrics would require an entire series at this point.
Yeah, it's okay. Moving on to Dreams of Ice.
Yep. Immediate
So
A,
Dreams.
because we,
Yeah, I
we
was-
get Shiva and Nabrialis.
I would also say an A because this is the first like rising action that we get leading into the grander story of the overarching game
Yeah.
outside
The
of just
Dreams
like
of Ice.
expansion.
We got
Oh, just put that.
Ishgard against the Heretics. So
Mhm.
we got that battle. We also got Snowcloak.
I agree.
We
I
got
agree. Also,
Shiva.
I
We
also agree with
also
A. Yeah.
A. Okay. We also
No,
got
I
the
agree.
final.
Really.
We also got the final coil of Bahamut, Sastasha Hard,
Mm.
Sunken
Oh.
Temple of Karn Hard, Ultros and Typhon,
Oh,
and
Jesus. This is a great patch.
Yeah.
and my class was finally introduced in this patch where I switched off a Bard Ninja.
Mm.
So good patch
And
all around.
we also got Poetics this patch.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Right.
When did Brayflox
The one
Hard
that's-
come out? Was that
Oh,
Defenders?
no idea.
Brave Floxes came out in 2-2.
Okay, yeah, because I remember soldiery farming and doing 7-minute
Right.
runs of Brayflox Hard.
Dreams of Ice was a huge patch.
It was
I
really
remember
good.
getting
It was also a big
lot of my
crafting
friends.
patch, if I remember correctly.
I remember getting a lot of my friends into 414 at this
Mhm.
point. Dreams of Ice was very good.
Yeah, this is when I
would put it in
started
an A.
kind of telling people about 14. I was like, hey, this game's not bad. It's pretty good.
But
Going
Dreams
on
of
to
Dream. Sorry, I didn't offer my 2 cents. if I
go ahead.
may. Dreams of Ice is thematically critical as it introduces the concept that it defies. To the science is a big shocker because not only introduces the whole thing about from their perspective an enemy being another blessed by Hydaelyn, that really throws them off the rails. It's like how in there you realize the moment that the science had this idea that all of the warriors of light are going to be on their side. And of course, it introduces Shiva and the very first notion of, hey, you know, this thing you're fighting for is actually a fucking lie. So that's
Yeah.
why it's so important to
Well,
me.
Not only
also
that,
we get
but it's
we're
the
introduced
first.
to
This is the
Go
first
ahead.
instance we see of summoning that doesn't temper as well.
Mhm.
something that doesn't
True.
temper, and also one of Hydaelyn's chosen, as
Mhm.
in not the wall, not the wall ourselves, but another wall that isn't the wall.
Hmm. And it's your enemy.
So
Or
going
at
on
the
to Before the Fall. I'm sorry, I want to get through these quickly because we've got a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
why I was like, because we'll have more to say.
So I think Before the Fall's an easy S.
So
Yeah, I
Before
mean,
the
yeah.
Fall, we got Keeper of the Lake.
Love
We also got
Important.
Nabrialis and the Chrysalis. We also
Important.
got Steps of Faith, which was a controversial one at the time. Wanderer's Palace Hard, Amdapor Keep Hard. We also got the final conclusion to the Crystal Tower raid, Cloud of Darkness, in the World of
Mhm.
Darkness. Battle in the Big Keep. We had a rematch with Gilgamesh. We also
Mhm.
fought Odin. New
Right.
PvP mode was introduced called Slaughter. We also got the Gold Saucer, and the final stage of the Zodiac weapons was introduced, as well as Triple Triad.
Yep. And the end
Yes.
of Hildebrand.
Yeah.
It was a big patch, very big. It was split into 2, like most of the patches.
Yeah, the final
With
patch
expansion
tends to be
following,
split
yeah.
into, yeah.
Yes. Keeper of the Lake was important for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. So was the Chrysalis. Steps of Faith was controversial because of its difficulty. At the time, it seemed difficult. The DPS check seemed difficult for most parties in Party Finder. Party Finder, I think, was introduced in 2.3, I believe, just 2 patches before.
Right.
And people would meme the hell out of it, posting just random memes as their Party Finder.
I thought the difficulty
description.
was perfect. I thought it was appropriately hard.
I thought it was too. I went in the first time I went in. It didn't seem all that bad. I went in with like, oh god, it's going to take me forever to get this done. I went in, one shot it, but apparently there are others who
Now,
didn't
I
work on their gear.
yeah, I will say when I got it in trial roulette, I did groan because I knew it wasn't gonna get cleared quickly.
Well, part of it is also it was a very gimmicky fight, and this is what I mean. We already had the Chrysalis, right? But it is one of those things where the game is actively asking you to pay attention to
What
the
you're doing.
story of the combat
Yeah.
instead of just push your buttons, which they realized was maybe not the thing that the average player who just wants to experience the story and have combat be a mildly separate thing wants, which is why they started releasing that kind of stuff more in high-end content later down the line. And dungeons and trials have kind of a set thing now.
They wanted you to put more attention on the game and the story and the gameplay mechanics than before.
Right.
And I think it was cool. I miss it. R.I.P. Steps of Faith.
Yeah.
It does work as an instance. It does work fine because you get to play the instance. I've gone through it after the whole rework of Around Report Proper, and they actually show you, because if you clear the trial earlier, then maybe Bishop only destroys maybe 2 wards of Ishgard or so. But when you do the instance, and as it's the whole timing and pace, and it makes you to live the storytelling they want to tell you, you get to see Bishop breaking all the wards before Ishgard. So it makes more sense that you can actually see that it's all the barriers disappeared.
Yeah, and we see that Isael just didn't fade into the background and go away after we beat her. She's the one who tears the barrier down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last thing before we go on to the next one, we also, at the very end of the patch, as you all remember, the Bloody Banquet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The best.
So that was fun. That was a great cliffhanger, and I freaked out for many months afterwards until then. Heaven's Word was announced.
It didn't really amount to the stakes I would have expected it to be, because in the end it doesn't really. It's solved in a manner which is very not relevant. The whole idea of the Warrior of Light becoming a wanted criminal, it doesn't stick really.
Yeah.
So. The stakes in this case are low, but if they reprise the idea, well,
in hindsight, yes, but having gone through it when it was new, it was absolutely shocking. I was like, I remember doing it, and I was like, can I still go to Ul'dah? Like,
yeah, that's the difficulty of having an MMO have that kind of story where it locks you out of an area, because there would have been vastly more problems if you just couldn't enter Ul'dah, having completed that quest until you got to the end of another thing, but right? So it is one of those things where you just
I would have liked it because of the immersion.
Right, but that's functionally that disrupts gameplay itself, which you can't do in an MMO. It's the same reason that Amarot is still standing. It's like, oh, it will fade with time, and it's like, but we still have to access it because it's an MMO.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So.
And that's literally why it will fade with time.
Yeah.
So I will rate it as an A. That's mine. It wasn't an S. It wasn't like earth-shatteringly great, but it was high enough that you go back on people's streams and be like, oh, I can't wait for this part. I can't wait for this part.
Mm-hmm.
There are other paths down the line that were so important to the Final Fantasy XIV series that were just crucial to the series. That
this is
I won't fight the A. I do think it's an S, but I won't fight the A on this one.
Yeah, I would say it's a very high A.
A+.
I will say this is also where we get the quest at Earth's Fount, where we're first introduced to the thinning of ether.
Yes. Oh, right.
Which it seems like
that we originally attributed to the first, but I have my doubts about it was really the first.
No, I think this is the groundwork that it was laying for the first.
Yes.
And then seeing, there's already another rejoining in progress.
Plus, Odin in general is just important.
Yes. Horrifying.
Okay. So, Heaven's Word. we get Ishgard, we get flying, we get Dark Knight, we get Machinist,
We get
Astrologian,
Estinian.
we get Hilda.
Down, boy, down.
I'm gonna put it at S.
We get Ravana. We get
Bismarck.
we didn't get Alexander. Well, no, we
We did
No,
get
no, fuck
Alexander,
Bismarck.
but
Bismarck was terrible.
They did hint at Alexander there.
They did.
yeah.
hold
It's a
on. Let
primal.
me go through the patches.
And we get
Yeah,
the Warriors of
they-
Darkness at the very end.
Mm.
And this also includes, I believe, the only. No, I'm wrong. With the exclusion of Endwalker, with Elidibus talking, voiced raid introduction cutscene.
I actually don't remember.
Yeah, with Sid yelling at the goblins.
Right.
That's a primal, you idiot.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we got the introduction to it, but we didn't actually get it. But it was introduced later. We got some level cap increased. We got new fates. We got company
Heaven's Word.
workshops.
All of
Yeah,
it.
I would-
workshops.
I would put it at an S. We fought the church. That's good
Yep.
enough story for me.
And Harshfont
That's
died.
that's
Okay.
Yeah, I put it at high A.
I'm spraying you with a water bottle. Gotta clean off that stinky Estinian armor. Do you even
I'd put it
still
at a
have
high A.
that?
Of course I do.
Okay, I don't think I've ever seen you wear it.
I'm probably gonna wear it again soon. Very soon,
Ooh.
actually.
Nice.
we also
We're
got
off
the
track.
fight. Also got the fight with Labrani Gajorn by the end.
Yes, we get Igiorum.
Oh, that's true.
How did I forget about Igiorum? She's introduced way back in ARR.
Technically, they
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah. In 2.3. In the
Heaven's Word is that
meeting.
expansion that I mean, if I have to make comparisons, Shadowbringers is like it's indisputably at the top, but Heaven's Word is a close second. So Shadowbringers to me would be S plus, and but
S-
Heaven's
yeah,
Word S,
Shadowbringers
Heaven's Word as S is fitting. Absolutely, it's phenomenal.
I would say
Also,
we have a question. in
also
chat.
has some stakes.
Yeah.
Do we prefer
Higher.
English Harshfont or Japanese Harshfont?
I have not played in Japanese, so I cannot answer that question.
He's very horny in Japanese.
I like both. I've played and I've seen both. I can't really put one over the other.
I will
that.
say this, and I think I missed it when I was playing through it, but Harshfont in English came off as trying a little too hard, and I didn't know why, and it made me not trust him. And when he died, I just felt guilty for thinking he was going to fuck me over.
Oh, but that's fun. That makes for a better story.
It was.
It's
It
the
was
angst
great.
of like regretting something.
Yeah.
That's part of the enjoyment.
Yeah, but like, I will live with that forever. Where I was like, I didn't trust him, and then he died for me, and I was like, oh, so
You did this.
I did. So the English version has kind of that going for it for me, whereas the Japanese version, he's very upfront with why he wants to be close to you. So I will say each has its pros and cons. Yeah, extremely horny.
So there's two characters that are not subtle when it comes to their feelings for the Warrior of Light, and Horsefan is one of them. So
So
I have long maintained that a critical part of any expansion is that at least one key player has to be in love with the Warrior of Light but can't do shit about it.
yep. That's-
Sometimes there's two.
That's been Alizé for a while now. Pretty much since
Yeah,
the
I
end
mean,
of
she's
Stormlight.
got like that idealistic crush on you, right? But like
Yeah.
you can go through each expansion and name a character that this is true for. Heavensward, Horshfont, obviously, to Aimrank to a certain extent, right? Shadowbringers, you've got the Exarch and Emmett Selk vying for your attention. Endwalker is like a combination of Emmett and Xenos. Stormblood is just straight up Xenos
Mhm.
hunting you down for sport the entire time, right? So I maintain that you just gotta look for the plot critical person who is doing things because they love you.
I can't believe we also going back to 2.5 we didn't mention Ishikawa getting totally railroaded in the writing on that when she introduces Moonbrita and she's immediately killed
hmm
without her knowledge or
Oh
approval.
my god.
She was so
F.
mad.
She got her
Yes.
catharsis in Endwalker, though.
She did. Which came first, the Asians or Organization 13? The Asians, they came around 12,000 years ago, whereas Organization 13 came around in the early 2000s.
I hate you. Anyways, going on to the next patch. As goes light, so goes darkness.
Yes.
So
this one,
this was Thancred naked.
Yeah.
So
this was this one.
Is that a
we
plus or a
saw
minus for you?
I mean I'm just stating a fact. To me, it's actually
Okay.
neutral, but
All right.
So this one we saw the
so
Warriors of Darkness.
I'm throwing that so you can make your opinions on that yourselves. To me, it's a neutral.
Wow. Peeking behind Meowth's curtain. Seeing the things that really
Warriors of Darkness were introduced in this patch. We also had
they popped up again.
Moshian's Arboretum, Pharaoh Sirius, the Shadow of Mach raid series was introduced with the Void Arc. We also had Minstrel's Ballad, Thorn's Reign, so the Wandering Minstrel was introduced.
Yep.
Put this at an A. I said I would put this at an A.
I would say B, honestly.
Really?
Story-wise, it was a setup patch.
I would also put it at a B just because the diadem was introduced here too.
Ugh.
The original diadem, not like the new diadem, the original diadem.
Which new diadem? Because there've been like 3. This was the one with the brontosaurs that you just went there, you fought, and you left. It's literally nothing.
It was the bad one. It was the really bad one.
Yeah.
Only the most diehard people went into that diadem. We also got the anima weapons in the Scholastic.
We also got Kryl embarrassing Alphino.
Yeah, true.
And we can't put this at an A. It's got a great betrayal storyline. It sets up a bunch of stuff.
A low A.
It's a B. It's a B.
Okay.
A B.
No, you know what? Put it at a B. I will bide my time for when it matters.
Okay. Fair enough.
I am stocking up goodwill.
we have to criticize these patches.
If it's any comfort, I think it's a low A, B plus. So...
I can go with B plus. B plus works for me.
We can't keep like, because otherwise we put ourselves at like a content creator's level where we're just throwing characters in A tier. Oh, we love this character. We love this character.
I'm not doing that. I genuinely feel this way. I'll have opinions later.
So yeah, I would put it.
For example, the next one.
Yes. So the next one, Gears of Change.
The next one is an A for me.
Is when Minfilia lies to us to our faces about what happens.
Yes.
So
or rather Hydaelyn, or rather whatever is actually talking through Hydaelyn.
This is the Gears of Change. We get Trinity Tower. We get Sephiroth, one of the Warring Triad. We get the Alexander Raid series. Would continue in Midas. Midas was introduced here. Hall of the Novice. Hildebrand was introduced, and the Nath quests.
Yep.
And Feast.
Is this the one where Aymeric gets stabbed? Or was
that's the previous one.
Okay. I want to say B plus for that one. But this is also where we are introduced to Nixtinian.
Yes.
Yeah. Where he shanks Vidofnir at the peace ceremony. And then we get
the possession? Yeah. I do love a good possession story.
And then we get what's her name? The barmaid. The savior of Falcon's Nest.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she got up so high and started just screaming.
Hey, Meowth.
What?
That scene makes so much more sense, and it's hit so much harder when you realize it's a mirror of Tactic's story when the barmaid represents...
Titra. When she was shot by Argath.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exactly it. And I'm like, oh my god, this is it. This is the same thing.
Yeah. So this was an easy A for me because I was like,
A
oh my,
plus, I would
and
say,
we get
because
okay. You know what?
I would say
Based
A.
on this alone, we get Matoya here.
that's
We
true.
get A. That's an A.
Yeah.
I
Midas was
disagree, but
also
okay.
Midas was also fun to talk about because we had Gordius before, then Midas. Midas was a tier that was so difficult for raiders, they complained to hell about it until it was nerfed. Do you remember that?
I remember that. That broke a lot of statics. And then, see, how did Sir Sharabar backflip so high onto the rooftops?
I'm sorry. Was that this patch?
No, that was
That
Seven's
was Heaven's
Word.
Word.
That was
Okay.
Heaven's Word.
I don't know. Ether. Ether bullshit. That's how.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Horde.
Revenge
One
of
of the
the
best
Horde.
trailers for a patch to date.
Yes, we get Sorkai and the final steps of faith. We also get Hullbreaker Isle Hard, the Weeping City of Mach. Also, we also
Wiping City of Mac,
Yeah, Wiping City.
we also get treasure maps were introduced during this quest too. We get new front
treasure
line.
maps were here before. I remember
We
them in
get
ARR.
Aquapolis. A new feature was yep. You're right. So there was a new treasure map area, the Aquapolis.
That's what it was.
This,
The portal.
this was where my noob ass was first introduced to stack markers.
We also
How'd that
got
go?
we also got the newest or the best streaming content around, Palace of the Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And can we not forget the slow walk on the steps of faith?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
The resolution of the Dragon Song War. Yeah, I'd say this is a very high
the final
A.
steps of faith was very good,
Yeah,
and I
if
will
not
give it
S.
a high A.
Yeah,
I will
if
give
this
it a
is-
high A for that.
Yeah, at least.
I would agree
Yeah.
with
Yeah, it's a high A as well to me. Yeah. It's not groundbreaking, perhaps. It has emotional moments that, and back then, perhaps I would say, no, it's S tier, but then comes Shadowbringers, so I have to lower my stakes.
Like I said, the later patches were more groundbreaking than some of the earlier ones. The earlier ones were
Yeah.
finding their footing,
Mm-hmm.
and there were some really, really good ones. But
I
nothing
am
was
also,
like
I'm actually more cold-minded than I was back then. So right now, instead of thinking things through the emotional lens, that emotional impact, I'm just a cold-hearted.
I know you are.
creature that just analyzes things as subjectively as I can. So.
This is also
you
around
are.
the time when on Twitter, World of Warcraft and 14 were jabbing each other, and it was amazing to watch because it was like they were poking fun at each other, but it was so good natured that you could tell that they were just laughing together behind the
I
scenes.
never understood why the fan base thinks they hate each other. Like
No, they
they've
love each
always
other.
been, they've always been openly friendly to each other.
Yeah.
And it's good that they
Because-
are because that they have this rivalry, but it's a good
because
natured
social
rivalry.
media.
Oh well, of
It's
course.
because
yeah.
of social media.
You have to. My game is better. No,
Pretty much.
both games can be good, and that's only beneficial for both games.
Social media poisons
Exactly.
minds.
True.
So Soul Surrender. We got
Oof.
Zelfatol.
Yay.
And we had to go through quite a few other dungeons and trials before we finally figure out, oh, this guy's the Griffin, and we face off against the Warriors of Darkness too.
So I will say this is also the patch where we get the first voiced mention of the shards.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
We also get the Great Google Library and the final
Hard.
Alexander raid. Great Google Library Hard and Alexander, the creator.
Yep. And
We also get
Alize
Sophia.
is formally introduced to the Scions. I
Mhm.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
And then
Jeez.
We
gets-
also get Wondrous Tales, which was a great feature back then.
Murderous Tales. And Urianje's face reveal. Yep.
And one of the best side activities ever, and you can't convince me otherwise, Adventurer Squadrons.
Yes. And barrage spam.
It was so good.
It was really good. Leveling was just a joke. You could clear dungeons in like 5 minutes with barrage spam with
Yeah.
squadrons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they nerfed
True.
it, and then it became kind of like a
A
gotcha
joke.
thing where you just, well, it became like a gotcha mechanic where you just send them out every day and come back the next day, gather loot, and send them back out.
And hope you get the ones you want, and then you dress them up, and that's the end.
That's the end. I really liked Adventure Squadrons.
I did too.
I think it, but I mean, ultimately, it was basically their trial ground for trust system, really. But
Yeah.
I would say this is a B. I mean, yes, there was some good stuff in the patch.
Yeah.
And we faced off against the Warriors of Darkness. And yes, that scene where we send them away was important. It didn't hit as important as the following patches or
Yeah.
the patches before it.
I would give it a high B.
I would put it in A because the levels of implications there, the sequence and all that, which I would have to go through that again. It's this patch is the ground. It's the foundation of Shadowbringers.
I agree with Meowth.
I would put it in
'Cause
A. The implications
we're not-
are
So-
too large.
Right.
It is
Because
a,
we're.
Go ahead.
No, go on.
It is a foundation for Shadowbringers, but I wouldn't say it's the foundation. It's the foundation for the Warriors of Light from Shadowbringers. And
Yes.
it's very obvious that they kind of already had an idea of where they were going with the first, because they had already brought it up in ARR. I will say, emotionally, from Heavensward, this is probably the patch that sticks out the most to me. So I could be convinced to move it to A.
That's kind of where I'm at, right? Because we're talking like about the quality of the story, but we're also talking about emotional impact, right? Regardless of whether or not we like what happened, it still has an emotional impact on us, right? So for that reason, I would put it at A. But also, I love a good betrayal storyline, and the whole Urianger triple cross. That shit made me so happy. I loved it. That was the moment where I was like, oh, this is my Scion. I'm putting him in my little basket, technically now. I would do that in the later patch too, which I will also fight for when we get there.
To me, I would say Soul Surrender introduces many crucial themes. One of them is that line from Arbert that always sticks when I value where the story may be going, and is we did everything right, everything it was asked of us, and still it came to this. That's the line that sticks to me in terms of where we might be going, and because
it's such a central theme for the rest of the game.
It is.
Our story is meant to mirror Albert because he's a part of us. So we keep that in mind. And right now we're after Endwalker, we're at the point of we did everything was asked of us. What if it still came to it? It still comes to the event of Shadowbringers.
And Naeus is absolutely right. That is a central point to the game, and it comes back to what we were talking about earlier about perspective, where who is the one telling us to do these things, and what aren't they telling us? And there's so much we don't know. We don't know what the full consequence of what these actions are going to be. And Emmett Selk uses that against us in Shadowbringers by saying, oh, you want to do this? Cool, go ahead. And he lets us do it knowing what the consequence of that will be, even though we don't. And we see this happen time and time again throughout the story, and it's just, when are we gonna learn? And this is the first time we really see someone get screwed over.
I would actually define what Hades did there, not so much as against us, but rather to drive a point. But
well, I mean,
he spent all of Shadowbringers trying to drive points.
So I will say against us is not entirely accurate. He was hoping we could succeed, to absorb the entire light ether of a world, take it back to the source, and dump it there. And that way, you have a bloodless rejoining. And that's kind of what he was hoping for. But we weren't.
Where did you get the whole thing about dumping the source light in us? That's not in Shadowbringers. Where did you get that?
Well, I mean, that's
he's rambling.
Yeah. Anyway.
We've placed the patch successfully. We argued our case,
Yep.
Meowth.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, we're done, Meowth. Calm down.
2.5
3.5.
or 3.5. The
Far
far
Edge of
edge of
Fate.
fate.
Oh,
We
such
got
a loaded
Balestar's Wall.
line.
We got Balestar's Wall. We got Summal Hard. We got Zervin. Dunscape. Summoner's got an Eggy Glam. And Diadem. Introduction of custom deliveries, and Diadem was overhauled.
Again. Yeah, and it was worse this time. It was actually worse. And Papalimo dies.
Yes.
And we get Ida and Papalimo back. Ida reveals her face.
Is my A. Not the Soul Surrender was my B, but this one was my A because it kind of segued into it gave us an implication of what's to come in the future, and it gave us an interesting backstory into one of our scions, who we thought had a backstory, but actually has another backstory. Who was, I'm basically talking about Lise. Introduced us to Lise. Introduced us previously. We knew Yugiri, obviously, but we also kind of got more backstory on both Yugiri and Gosetsu, and who they serve. And we also got the introduction of Omega and Shinryu in their battle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
again,
was an
I would
amazing
say
cutscene.
this was a patch because not only because of the story, but because of the quality of the cutscenes just went through the roof.
I actually don't have a lot of strong feelings on this one, I'll be honest, and for that reason it's kind of a B or C for me, but like I agree with your points, Ayumi. The thing of me just not having an emotional connection to the story is purely just like a subjective thing.
Yeah, I would say with
Anecdotic.
Papalimo dying and kind of going in the same way Louis Soir did was very, very impactful for me.
That's very good symbology.
Yeah.
Like, I agree. I just don't have strong feelings about this patch in general.
Yeah, and
like I said, it switched between the previous patch and this patch for me. Like Soul Surrender was a B for me. This one was an A, whereas Soul Surrender was an A for you guys, and
right.
vice versa.
we also get introduced to what is quite possibly the best semi-recurring villain in Stormblood, Grinwat.
Yeah,
That's true. You know what? I do have an emotional connection to Grinowat. You can put it at A.
Win.
It's A for awesome meme with a smiley face. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also Sid and Nero's relationship started
Oh,
blossoming.
so
Oh,
good.
God,
you know
yes.
what? Divorce and Grinowat. This is an A pack.
I would agree, but
Yep.
mostly
Nero
from
just spreading his smugness everywhere.
Yep. And cute, yes.
He's
I also started
he's
in Gridania.
sarcastic.
I started in
He's
Gridania,
sarcastic. Nero's sarcastic clap was phenomenal. That's one point that I always remember from this patch. But aside from that, it's important to me two things. I mean, I wasn't particularly attached to Papalimo, but it's important that others, when it comes to main characters, Papalimo is arguably part of the science. Perhaps a minor scion considering where Heavensward went, but still like kept the stakes of Heavensward that we haven't seen since then.
Right.
Of main characters being susceptible to being offed. It's not so much because Ida and Papalimo were getting a bit replaced between Gistola and Thancred from Heavensward, but still raised some stakes. That it was keeping that bar there.
That's a good point.
I wasn't
You've sold me on
again.
this.
I was not exactly attached to Papalimo, but that's just me. It's like NS. Like I don't have the personal attachment, but for others, it may. I wasn't enthused about the introduction of Lise. You know my opinion on that, but that's me. And in terms of this patch, it's not exactly the patch itself. It's the name of the patch, because we got the narration. Remember in Endwalker trailer, the Voice of Hades. which is one line that doesn't appear in any form in the expansion, in contrast to the rest of the trailer. Past the far edge of fate, ring blades dark and light, tolling the coming of the end. Which I'm still breaking my brain trying to figure out what the hell does it mean.
Okay, leave meta narrative out of this. We're going
no.
I just
Sorry.
I just said that I'm trying to break my brain. I was not going to explain what I think it means.
Well, I'm gonna hammer it down.
I will say, Meowth, put a pin in that because he's quoting something.
Okay.
Yep. I have an answer for you, but it's not related to anything that we're doing right now.
So you know what? It makes sense. Past the far edge of fate, this is the halfway point.
Yeah.
This is the halfway point before Endwalker.
Not really. The halfway point is actually Shadowbringers.
No, this is literally
1, 2, 3, 4. Shadowbringers is the middle. No, well, it depends. I suppose that if you're counting just the first arc of the story, then yes, it's the middle.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I'm counting patches.
Yeah.
As in number of patches, this is the midway point.
But it is also like the halfway point of the first arc of the story, so it cleaves twice. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're not talking about the entire end of the game because it's not done yet. Right. We don't know how that ends. So,
but first arc, yes. Okay, right.
Yeah, okay. I would say past the far edge of fate just means this is coming after patch 3.5. That's how I interpreted it.
Moving to Stormblood. Yes, moving to Stormblood. We got it. We've got a long way to go.
We got 20 minutes.
We got Red Mage, we've got Shirokugane and the new housing district Shirogane, we've got Lakshmi, and we've got Susanoo. We've also got the Omega series, which was the first wing was introduced just about 4.01. I like this patch because me being, well, I don't want to call myself a weeb, but I sure am. I like Oriental and Eastern themes. Oriental and Eastern themes. So I resonated with this patch a lot. I know a lot of people don't. So
yeah, and I mean it is a lot. This is so for context. Even taking patches out of the equation, Stormblood is the longest expansion hour-wise.
Yes.
It is roughly 12. Again, did everything in one sitting, kind of all blended together. Stormblood is roughly 13 hours longer than the second longest expansion, which is Shadowbringers. Stormblood takes almost like 2.5 days of just like this is the only thing that you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I get why it's a little dry for a lot of people, which is totally fair. But from a lore and world building perspective, and the themes of like overthrowing government and finally confronting Garlemald, I agree that this should be higher on the list because it is incredibly important, even if it isn't the most like interesting thing in the world. So I would say like a B at the absolute lowest, but I would put it at an A.
I could go with a B, like a low B.
13 extra hours of bearing with Lise.
For me,
that's a downer for me.
Excuse you, I love Lise.
Yeah, I would say
that's a positive for me.
Put it at an B, but like mentally, it's an A for me. B, like considering everything else, I would put it in a B.
Yeah, because it's very important story-wise, but like it is emotionally difficult to play.
I will say it gives.
I'm negatively biased. Sorry.
Yeah,
go.
I will say this gives us two of the greatest things that I believe this patch cycle gave us, which are Yotsuyu and the Namazu.
Fair.
Also, Magnai memes. Magnai memes very important.
That comes later.
Magnai
yes.
memes. The M in Magnai stands for meme.
I am negatively biased because I very much don't like the trope of glorifying revolutions against any sort of thing, which is what Lise does. Hien has a better, cooler, responsible head than she does when it comes to that.
What I did like about it was that they did it, and then they realized we have no idea what to do now.
Yeah, that's the really
what
good
made
part
it good.
Of it.
But that comes in the patches.
But that comes in the patches. That's the thing. Stormblood for me, main story quest. To me, actually, the only thing that was keeping things interesting was Xenos, to be honest.
See,
It went down Shadowbringers,
I'm
it
in the
rose
opposite
in
boat.
I
Endwalker.
despised Xenos in this expansion. I
Yeah.
thought he was boring. I thought he was a bad villain, and I did not like him.
You and I continue shaking hands under the table
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Xenos.
I was curious. I was not necessarily enthused about Xenos either. And that's why I said that Stormblood for me first run was very much, this is a storyline type that I don't like.
Mhm.
This is a villain that maybe I could be interested because it was basically the deal that what's the deal with this guy? Why was he like that? That was basically my interest.
I didn't care. I was like, oh, he just wants to fight someone strong. Got it. And he.
I could.
He
I
seemed,
could respect the murder boner. I mean,
Yeah.
at least I can.
I mean,
I'll leave him that.
he just came across as very two-dimensional for me in this expansion. It wasn't
Yeah.
until Endwalker where he really came out. And when
Mm-hmm.
it revealed, oh, he's still alive, oh, he got his body back later on, I was just kind of like, great, now we got to deal with this guy again. But Endwalker did him a lot of favors. If he had had the kind of development in Endwalker that he, or sorry, in Stormblood that he had in Endwalker, I would have fucking loved him. He would have been my favorite character in the game.
I mean, easily, yeah. But yeah. So Stormblood for me, it's not it's I don't really vibe with it, but the patches, it's what make me really appreciate Stormblood. So main storyline would be B for me, because it's still important. It lays the groundwork for other things. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought they did too much. Like, I would have rather had a Doma expansion or an Alamigo expansion, but I can't deny the hype I had seeing the full trailer for the first time and seeing them reveal Othard, and I just lost my shit. So, anyway.
Yeah.
4.1.
So next one, 4.1. I'm biased.
D.
I'm calling this an high A, and you can't convince me otherwise. There is a reason, and it's on the patch art.
It's Evilise.
Yeah, and well, also it introduced performance actions, which is what I do every week for certain venues. So I have to attribute this patch to a lot of the side content that I do, not only every night, but still do.
So
we got Royal City Ravenaster, Shinryu Extreme, Unending Coil of Bahamut Ultimate. This is our first Ultimate raid introduction.
I really don't remember what happened in the story in this one. I know overall
It's
Stormblood story.
the whole thing about they are trying to find the government way
right.
for Alamigo, which they could have
Yeah.
started thinking before that, but
Which
okay.
We also got the Drowned City of Scala.
We got Drowned City of Scala, and
Fucking
we also,
Scala!
we also calm down, Meowth. We also got our involved introduced with the story too. Involved with it quite a bit.
I mean, not introduced. He'd been in it since the beginning, but yeah, really
He'd been in it, but
taking
he
a
got
prominent role.
he got introduced in a larger role.
Right.
Like he actually started interacting with the Scions one-on-one and in quite a few more cutscenes.
Yeah, we
And
got
the
a
bonding
treasury
with
for
Fordola.
Alamigo. Yeah,
Yep.
Fordola follow-up. Good stuff. Okay.
And we also have the insight into Fordola's past, which is the first. They expand actually this later on in the following patch when Yotsuyu, but they already started working. Which is something that's where I started to appreciate Stormblood and be interested in the story it's presenting, because we see that because of Fordola's parents bending the knee, so to speak. I mean, you could argue about being just a manner of protecting themselves, which is respectable. For protecting their daughter, whatever. They bent the knee and they were treated like scum by their own country. They stoned Fordola's father in the street in front of her.
Yep.
So it's the first introduction to making us realize that the nations that we had been liberating and glorifying were not precisely the virtuous nations we had been led to believe.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it
if
comes
you were
later
paying
on with
attention, though,
Doma.
you knew that.
I mean, yeah, but
But yeah,
It's nice to have it become like an extant conversation after Revolution, because I think that's something a lot of people who've never had to go through this sort of thing don't realize about overthrowing a power like a government. because you're only focused on one thing for so long. I think it's important to dive into the nuance of it. It's part of why I really like the way they handled Garlemald and its citizenry in Endwalker 2, because it dives into that, and it's not afraid to kind of confront that you have to have these conversations, and it's messy, but it's necessary.
And Bozia does dive into that as well, which is nice.
Bozia
Yeah,
is
exactly.
phenomenal.
Yep.
Bozia is phenomenal.
So for all of those reasons, yeah, I like it.
Okay, so what did we say?
It's a high A for me because of Ivalice. I mean, I am in the same boat of you, like a Yumi.
I'm not sorry.
You don't have to be.
All right.
Rise
2.
of the New Sun.
Yep.
Rise of a New Sun. Okay, so
A
this
reference.
was
It's a reference to a book series, by the way.
this was with Gosetsu. Scions traveled to Doma to investigate rumors that Gosetsu and Yatsuyu had survived Doma Castle.
Mm-hmm.
We get Hell's Lid and Byakko. And we get Sigmascape. So we get Chicken Tenders.
No,
not yet. That's point 4.
No. That's the next
Kefka,
one. So
Kefka.
we get Kefka. Yes, that's right. Because I remember that cutscene. Because I freaked the hell out.
We also get Take Off Your Clothes, the meme.
What?
What?
No, that's
Is
the next patch.
That's the next patch? Okay.
That's
next. That's the one I've been stocking up Goodwill with you all for.
Oh, you don't have to stock up Goodwill for that one.
I know, but like I have other reasons.
So I would say Rise of a New Sun. It was a pretty mediocre one. I'd put it at C. The saving grace that didn't dunk it into D was Kefka.
I would put it in B myself because it introduces
Also,
the whole Doma and Yotsuyu origins.
The other detriment to this patch was Castrum Meridianum and Praetorium were adjusted so you couldn't skip cutscenes.
Yeah.
That's why they have their own roulette. Skip the cutscenes.
Honestly,
they can't. I think that was a really, really good addition to the game.
I agree.
Because I never played during the time when you could skip cutscenes. However, it's such a detriment to new players that it's the kind of thing that made people say that ARR sucked because like this is why it happened. So it's a good thing that it's broken out, and if you don't want to do MSQ roulette, that's why it has its own roulette. That's why it's a time commitment, right? I think it's one of the better decisions.
First run through Praetorium was when cutscenes were skippable. I literally got kicked out of the party because I was watching the cutscenes and I didn't realize that everybody wasn't watching them too.
That sucks. Fair. See, that's the kind of like player experience that sucks because you want to watch those things, right? So.
Right.
Yep. So where did we say this one was?
I say C.
B is a good one.
B or C, yeah.
All right.
Because it's not super memorable otherwise.
No, it's really not.
I'm attached to it because it was the only extreme that I actually learned to play in time. Byakko.
That's fair, but that's also content, and we're not talking about content quality.
Yeah.
I'll say B. I'll go with low B.
Okay.
All right. Under the Moonlight, Asahi's Time to Shine.
I was gonna say this is Cobb's favorite patch.
Oh, yeah.
I am
many reasons.
Also mine. S tier. And I will defend it. But first, Ayumi, do you want to go over what was in it just for context?
Sure.
Yeah.
So Castrum Fluminus, Yatsuyu battle.
Mm-hmm.
The Ritterana Lighthouse, the second part of the Ivalice raid. That one was really good. I don't know why people can't do math. I mean, it's taught in school. Why can't you do prime numbers, multiplication? They introduced division in Bosnia. I mean, for sake, come on, people. Anyways, Swallow's Compass, Weapons Refrain Ultimate, and a new deep dungeon in Heaven on High.
Wait, this is the patch when they introduce Ultima Weapon Ultimate?
Weapons Refrain Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Forbidden Land Eureka Pagos. The Monster Hunter collabs Monster Hunter World collab was introduced.
Oh, right. Rathalos.
Domain Restoration. This was so good.
Oh,
This
God,
was
yes.
needed.
Domain Restoration was fantastic.
Crossworld link shells were also introduced. Nabazu Beast Tribes.
Yes.
And custom delivery for Kurenai.
So,
yeah.
I
Yes, Chucky.
fully believe that all of the content in this patch is so significant story-wise that it should be on the S tier, because everyone everyone here knows the importance of the Ivalice raid, specifically like the content around Ritterana Lighthouse, if you're familiar with 12.
Sure do.
On top of like all of the Eureka stuff, which is really, really important, not just for the study of ether physics, which is my specialty, and I will get to the second part of the ether physics thing on this patch too. Because this is one of the things where Cobb was like, "You come closer. We're friends now.
Yep.
Talk to me about this."
You just want to talk about a certain bulkhead, fellow.
Yeah, I will, and I will talk about why he's relevant. But like, there's just so much important story stuff in here. In addition to it just being a fun patch, it's important for setup. It's important for overarching themes. And the other really big thing, in addition to me just loving my problematic little twink, like we established earlier,
I got Alfie.
This is where I drew up my first set of ether physics diagrams, the ones that I have not had to adjust since, because it introduces the idea that a single person's emotions are strong enough to constitute the tempering of oneself into a primal. It introduces the idea that one's own trauma is a powerful enough emotion to fuel this kind of transformation, which is in conjunction with everything we've talked about as far as Ultima's implications from the Ivalice raids. And also, it's just a good story. Like, this whole arc was so satisfying as like a mini story, but it fits in so well into the grander story of things. It's important to our understanding of the physics of the universe, because this is where the seeds of like me drawing out everything about the 12 several years ago also came from. This patch is just so significant outside of just being a really good story. So it's an S for me. It's an S for me.
Yeah, it's an S. Ivalice. There's Yotsuyu. There's a whole story about, and not just Yotsuyu. I mean, that's phenomenal because like, she's this horrible villain of driven by circumstance, but then there's still Gosetsu, who she's a victim.
It's good writing.
But there is Gosetsu, and her last thought is for Gosetsu, and it's like, and when we have the options to tell her, to be compassionate to her, to be like, so you deserve a kinder fate, or Gosetsu will mourn you, and it's likely one of the few times Yotsuyu has felt any sort of compassionate words from her enemy, no less. And Yotsuyu indeed mourns her. So even it drives the idea that even a person that has done awful things deserves to be mourned. That's important to me. And as well, we get Maxima Maxima being honorable and being like, Asahi was a dick, because he was, and being like, he's no more, so we can still go with the prisoner exchange, which is our first introduction that the Guardians are not jerks. I mean, not necessarily. It's just
they're not ubiquitous. Like, they're not all the same.
Exactly. So, and that's when Alfino goes to try to be an ambassador. It doesn't really stick because we know what happens next. But,
and he meets Gaius.
And he meets Gaius, and
good patch.
And
just a good patch.
Yeah, it was S tier, yeah.
All right. So we're all in agreement there. What about Prelude in Violet?
That's S tier for me. You know why?
We're going to the burn. We're going to the burn, and we get inklings of a mysterious illness that is affecting the Scions. Saint Mukian's Arboretum, hard. Omega's raid series ended with Alphascape. That one was fun. That one was really. That's where we got introduced to chicken tenders.
That's
Chicken
yeah.
tenders.
And we got Suzaku,
Suzaku
Eureka
was great too.
Pyros.
Okay.
We got marriages.
Yeah.
We got
Oh.
eternal bonding in this patch.
Oh, it was
Really?
introduced so
They
late.
introduced
That
it in
doesn't seem
Brilliant
right.
Violet.
I think the redo of Eternal Bonding was here. The
Yeah.
anniversaries.
Oh wait, hold on.
It might also be when they allowed you to get same-sex married, because I
Yeah.
know it's been in the game longer than that, but it was restricted for a while.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Either way, they updated it, which was neat.
They updated it. Manderville called Saucer and Domain Reconstruction. Yep, and you had a new ranking captain to the captain of in the Grand Company.
Yeah. Good stuff. I would put it
I
at
would put
an A for me.
I put it at a B, just because the following patch really opened it up.
That's true. So Meowth has S, you have B, I have A, and S.
I would actually say S or A.
Okay. Put it right.
Yes, I mean it's a combination of many things. I saw the burn. I saw the burn, and I was immediately the first moment in 14 in which I was like, "This comes from Final Fantasy 13." So I'm biased.
I remember
You are
in
biased.
13
You are
getting
biased.
there, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's this is the burn. You're actually you're recording there, but of course I mean, Omega on its own, the conclusion of Omega was phenomenal, so that's another big tier for me. Of course, you know that's the main reason for why this patch is a tier to me.
So we're almost out of time, so we'll do one more, and then we'll stop for
Last
Shadowbringers,
one,
and
yeah.
we'll pick up next week.
So
Okay.
Requiem for Heroes, patch
S.
4.5. We
S
got
tier.
this is an A tier for me. Gimlet Dark. We got
Was
Orban
amazing.
Monastery. Orban Monastery, which was my favorite. We got
that would be enough of a nest, to be honest. But no.
We got what's his name? Yojimbo, Kugane Ohashi. Blue Mage was also introduced, and Hidden Gorge and Rival Wings. This patch was so important to me because, at least from a gameplay perspective, because the Gimli Dark was easy enough that I could run it with my guildmates for Poetics every week and Tomestones every week. I also liked the theme of it, the Gimli Dark, and the story behind it was just
incredible.
It was just dark enough that I got excited, and I didn't get that feeling from any other part in the story previously, except for the end of A Realm Reborn when they had the bloody banquet, and I'm like, well, what happens next?
Right.
And we left off on that whole throw wide the gates. Okay, well, everyone's knocked out except for a few members of a few.
Yeah. I was like, what
It's
happened?
it's such good emotional suspense. It's not a cliffhanger for the sake of a cliffhanger. It's straight up like, all right, get ready, strap in.
Yep.
Yeah, it went from the bloody banquets, I don't know what we're going to do, to okay, we're somewhat recovered from this over Heaven's Ward. Okay, we're still recovering, but we know what we're going to do during Stormblood. Then everything comes crashing down again, and we don't know what we're going to do.
The meeting with Varus was just amazing.
Yes,
and
again, that's what puts it in an A for me.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the trailer itself
incredible.
had me talking for weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
A.
I'm going to share a funny little story regarding for Ayumi. I hadn't actually played the original Tactics, or rather War of the Lions, before the Reader and Lighthouse. It was actually this raid series that I had only played Tactics Advanced and Tactics Advanced 2. So the actual moment that sparked me to I'm going to go try the original Tactics was the raid series. So I actually played War of the Lions between 4.4 and 4.5. So I actually when this patch was released, I already knew what the Urban Monastery was. I was properly excited, but it's
I also realized that this is the patch that really kind of introduced Emmett to the fandom.
Yeah.
No, that was the original
That
one.
was
Right, sorry.
previously, but this is the one that
Oh,
they
okay,
got.
yeah.
This is the
Right.
one where they kind of got introduced to his humor and his kind of like.
Which is actually a mask, it's a persona, but
I know, but
It's
this is where they really fell in love with him because the
it's so
previous
funny.
patch, yeah, he got shot and fell down the steps
it
and all
was
that.
by design.
And this one was where he actually started fucking with Varys, and then we were like, "Oh, he's one of these people."
It also, I think, speaks a lot to Varys's character too, because Varys was like, "I'm just gonna start cloning the Emperor for no reason," and they just don't talk too much about it. And Varys is like, "This is why are you here?" And Emmett's like, "What the fuck do you mean? This is you did this. Why not take advantage of it to just gaslight him? Because A, it's funny." And B, like, that is kind of what he needs to do in order to sow the seeds of his plans for the source at this point in time.
I mean, it was there, he took it, like,
Again,
it was Varys who basically did that, the implication being to spite his grandfather, and he was like, okay, fine, you did that, I'm going to use that.
It's like,
And
okay,
that's-
and what was the next step? Like, where did Varys see this plan going? Like,
And honestly, it doesn't really matter because, as he explains later on in Shadowbringers, he couldn't take the body with him. So what he did was go there, take a random corpse, and model it into the figure
Right.
of Sully. So it doesn't really. The whole thing about the clones doesn't really get anywhere. It was just there. So it's like.
You know what would be really good content for them to do? Like a Tales from the Shadows type series where it's just excerpts from Varys's journal. I just want to know what was going through his mind. Genuinely, like, I know it's not going to make any sense. It's going to be filled with like pseudoscience that he doesn't understand. I just want to know what he was thinking. Like, genuinely, what was the end goal there? Because he was like, I got a bunch of clones. Now what? I don't even like this guy. It's a big middle finger. Okay, what was the joke? Like, what was the point of the prank?
I think that's the point that Hades was trying to drive. Like, what's the point? It was just Varys being petty, to be honest. So
Yeah, it's funny. It's a good bit, and it gave us like good content as far as roastability goes. Like more so than we even already had for Varys, but
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Stormblood patches, without a doubt, are what actually makes Stormblood really good. I mean, it's not my favorite because the themes of Stormblood perhaps are not my favorite, but I can separate, what it's my personal
right,
taste.
it's
With
well, I know why because the Catman was introduced, and you need to stop with that.
what does it? I didn't mention the Catman in all this. In all this,
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite patch, but
I don't know where actually that came from with regards to the Catman. In fact, next week I'm going to try to avoid talking about the Catman because it's going to be in my brain when I rate Shadowbringers, and it's like, yeah, that's a minus, but
it's one of those things where like we're rating this based off of story, right? And
Yeah.
to a certain extent, a lot of that is subjective of like the emotional impact that the quality of writing can have on a person. But we also have to take out the subjective part of us that's like, oh, we don't like this character for personal reasons.
Yep.
That shouldn't factor into a discussion with the group, right? Likewise, some stuff can be really, really important story-wise, but not resonate with you personally, because that's how
that's my
I
case
felt.
with
What was the patch, Ayumi, that you felt super strongly about that I was just kind of like, I don't have too many strong feelings about it. It was like 2.5, I think. No, 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, because it was right before Stormblood. Yeah. So, but like it's still important story-wise, right?
Yeah,
and to the grander story of
It was
the
flipped.
game.
It was
Yeah.
I liked this and you didn't, and then you
Mhm.
liked another patch and I didn't.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of a game, you know?
for the record, I understand. I'm joking when I say that when discussing Shadowbringers, I wouldn't mention the Catman because inevitably I would have to talk about him. But be assured that I have a long list of reasons for why his character
We can be
is-
objective. Yeah.
it is. And the reasons are not really subjective. I have a fair of objective reasons there.
I will
But
say
anyways,
this.
that's not the point.
I
Yeah,
didn't
down.
mind him until after 5.3. That's
Because
when I
the
started
Exarch
really...
is somewhat more bearable because
Yeah.
he's more flawed.
Yeah, the Exarch I like. I don't like the Catman as much.
I didn't like being stalked, but that's
Yeah.
a me thing. So
I don't mind him one way or the other. I think he has his pros. I think he has his cons. If people like the character, that's on them.
Yeah.
It's the same way with me and other characters, and a character that you guys make fun of me for liking, and for other
Who's
characters.
making fun of you
Who's
for
that?
liking?
I won't
I
go
have
into
a
it on
proxy for
stream.
this. Okay.
I won't go into it on stream.
No,
Well-
nobody faults you for liking Hilda.
Not going into it on stream.
I think that gets us up through Stormblood, right? We finished
Yep, that's up to Shadowbringers.
with this bit at least.
Yep.
Nice.
So, yeah, we did 3
We're gonna do a part
expansions. Then we have 3 more to go.
See, this is what happens. This
We
is
like to yap.
and hey, at least we have content for the next week.
Here I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be enough to fill a full episode, and then it's like, oh, we got halfway through it.
Really? Really?
I should know
After-
better by now.
After 5 years, we're still at the.
I know. Well,
Been a while,
that's a
5
good
years,
stopping
actually.
place, I think, for this week. So we'll be back next week, same time, to finish up this list, and we hope to see everybody there.
Yes.
Hi everyone. Have a safe week.
Yes.
It's going to be cold.
Yes.
Yep.
It's going to be very cold. For those of you that live in a certain part of the U.S., if not, then enjoy your warm sunshine.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
See
Yeah.
ya. Live chat.
Yeah, I know. But